Take a close look at the base of some of the world's tallest statues, such as the Statue of Liberty and the Spring Temple Buddha. In both cases, the statue's clothing touches the base, which hides a strong and large foundation behind these garments. But if we observe the Statue of Unity, its clothing does not touch the base and instead remains elevated. This reduces the available base area. Additionally, there is approximately a 12-foot gap between the two legs, and their positions are staggered forward and backward. This makes it even more challenging to create a strong foundation for such a heavy structure. The Statue of Unity is located near the Narmada River in Gujarat. It is a statue of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel with a height of 183 meters. If the pedestal is included, the total height reaches approximately 241 meters. Its appearance is highly impressive, but the real challenge lies in its engineering. First, during the on-site survey, it is examined whether the rock layer beneath the ground can support the load of the statue. For this, drilling is carried out to test the strength of both rock and sand. To build a strong foundation, excavation is carried out over an area of approximately 44 meters by 34 meters. This excavation continues until a strong rock strata is found, on which the foundation can be safely placed. When this strong rock layer was identified, it was capable of handling nearly 5 times the total load of the statue. However, to strengthen the grip of the foundation, drilling was carried out into the rock. High-strength steel was inserted into these drilling sections, and the reinforced concrete was filled. In this way, multiple rock anchoring techniques were used to create a stable base for the foundation. After this, a strong reinforced steel grip structure is prepared. A notable aspect is that approximately 135 metric tons of iron collected from across the country were used in this foundation. This iron was melted to form steel rods, which were then incorporated into the structure. Once this grid structure was ready, reinforced concrete was poured into it, forming a strong foundation, approximately 3 meters thick. The foundation of the Statue of Unity was constructed in 2 steps. The first part creates a strong grip with the rock layer, and evenly distributes the load of the entire structure. In the second step, a pedestal is constructed to handle the load of the statue. This pedestal is not entirely cylindrical in shape, but before constructing it, a reinforced steel grid structure is again prepared. After this, a metallic frame structure is prepared inside the pedestal to fill it with reinforced concrete. The entire pedestal is constructed in a step-by-step manner. As each level of the pedestal is completed, the framework is lifted upward. Then a reinforced steel grid pattern is created inside, and concrete is poured into it. In this way, a pedestal approximately 58 meters tall is constructed step by step. At this stage, the pedestal becomes a solid concrete structure. However, due to the 12-foot gap between the statue's legs, it becomes necessary to construct 2 separate columns, from this point on which the statue can stand. After this, the construction of these columns begins using the same method. Frameworks are designed within which a grid structure of steel bars is created, and concrete is poured into it. The framework used here is of a self-climbing type, which includes a hydraulic system at the base. When one section of the column is completed, the framework lifts itself upward using its hydraulic system. Construction then resumes for the next section. However, a question arises here: whether constructing separate columns is the correct approach. If both columns are built independently and an earthquake or instability occurs, they may not transfer the load evenly to the foundation. This could increase vibrations, and if the gap widens, the entire structure could become unstable. To solve this problem, engineers adopted a different approach. Just as large base support is available in the Statue of Liberty and Spring Temple Buddha, similar support was required here as well. However, instead of providing this base support at the foundation level, engineers combined both concrete cores once they reached a certain height. After this, a different type of self-climbing framework was used to continue constructing the combined structure upward. These 2 concrete cores were constructed up to a height of approximately 153 meters. At this level, a special space was also left, which will be explained later. Additionally, tuned mass dampers were installed above these cores, whose function is to absorb vibrations in the structure. Under normal conditions, the structure remains completely stable. However, when an earthquake occurs, vibrations begin within the structure. To control these vibrations, heavy weights are suspended inside the damper using cables. When the structure moves in one direction due to vibration, these heavy weights remain relatively stable. Due to their inertia, they help bring the structure back toward its original position, which significantly absorbs the vibrations. At this stage, the surface area of the structure is not highly exposed, so the impact of earthquakes also remains limited. Up to this stage, Larsen and Tubro had successfully developed the infrastructure. The next challenge was to give the statue an accurate shape that closely resembles Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. For this, sculptor Ram Sutar created multiple clay models of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel at heights of 3 feet, 10 feet, and 30 feet. These models were used as references for the final statue. At this stage, two approaches were possible. First, constructing the entire statue using concrete. Second, creating a metallic framework above the foundation that represents the exact shape of Sardar Patel. Here, the metallic structure was preferred because a concrete structure would be extremely heavy and could develop cracks over time. To achieve the exact shape of the statue, bronze metal was selected. However, the biggest challenge was how to carry out bronze casting at such a large scale and shape it into the form of the statue. A specialized company was contracted for bronze casting. First, Ram Sutar's sculpture was 3D scanned and converted into an exact digital 3D model using computer software. In the same way that 3D animation is used in this video, the entire sculpture was scanned to create a digital 3D model. This original 3D animation has been created by us, and you can support us by subscribing to the channel. Once the 3D model was ready, it was scaled up to the final height of 182 meters, as the statue was to be constructed at this height. After this, the model was divided into approximately 6,565 parts, including 565 macro parts. That's around 1,700 tons, and about 6,000 micro panels. That's about 1,850 tons. Now, molds were prepared for all these parts that could withstand high temperatures. First, each part was created in physical form based on the 3D model. Then it was set into a mold. After this, molten bronze was poured into the empty space, producing the final bronze components, which were then transported to the site. Before fixing these bronze parts onto the structure, it was necessary to prepare a strong steel skeleton that could support all the panels. In this structure, steel plates were first installed, of which heavy steel beams were mounted. Curved steel ribs were then connected to these beams so that the different curved sections of the statue could be supported in the correct shape. Further, tertiary steel members were installed onto which the panels were fixed. In this way, the complete steel skeleton was prepared, and bronze panels were installed one by one, allowing the statue to gradually take its final shape. However, you will notice that small gaps have been left between these bronze panels. These gaps are intentionally provided because the temperature at this location varies significantly, especially during summer. As a result, the metal undergoes slight expansion, and these gaps allow that expansion to be accommodated so that the overall appearance of the statue is not affected. However, high-speed wind could enter through these gaps, which might cause instability. Therefore, these gaps were sealed with controlled joints to prevent air and water from entering. At a height of approximately 153 meters, near the chest area, a viewing gallery was constructed between the concrete cores. From there, a panoramic view of the surrounding area can be observed, and approximately 200 people can be accommodated at one time. Now the question arises, how do people reach such a height? For this, elevators were installed inside both concrete cores, which function like standard elevators. These elevators can carry approximately 26 people at a time to a height of 153 meters within about 30 to 40 seconds. A museum has also been constructed at the base of the statue, and the elevators begin from the pedestal level. In this way, the entire construction of the Statue of Unity is completed. It is hoped that you found this explanation useful. If you have any questions or feedback, you can share them in the comments. Thank you.